this changes everything. Hi everyone, let's talk about Once Upon a Time Season 6, Episode 16, Mother's Little Helper. Finally back to the normal schedule. As I said in my review for the previous episode, which I shot at the same time as I shot this review, I should be back on track with my reviews. I'm sorry that it was kind of all over the place, but yeah, this was a really good episode, so I'm glad that I'm able to talk about it pretty quickly. So let's just jump right into it and talk about Hook. So Hook had an interesting meeting with Blackbeard, trying to get him to help him and use a magic beam to hopefully get back to Storybrooke. Unfortunately, Gideon's spell kind of made that impossible, and we're in Neverland again. Which I know it's bad for Hook, but I'm kind of excited because I loved the whole Neverland season. So I'm like, ooh, Neverland. Except that now all the Lost Boys that stayed behind are apparently the worst of the Lost Boys, which again, really bad for Hook. But I'm still excited. Is it wrong? Unfortunately, we didn't get too much of that, but I'm guessing this is definitely going to come into play in future episodes. I kind of hope that Emma will have to go and get him in Neverland or something, because that would be cool. There's like 6 episodes left, so I feel like that could be enough to go and get Hook. Now let's talk about Henry and Regina. So Henry started writing all of these weird symbol things, and apparently according to Isaac, that's because the author is taking over Henry. But we still don't really know what the whole writing thing was. Like, what is he writing? What does it mean? Okay, great, it's taking over, but what are you writing? Are you like predicting something? Are you writing a new story? Are you writing the end of the story? Like, what's going on? I feel like maybe they should try and figure out what it actually says. Maybe he's saying something important. Unfortunately, according to Isaac, we're getting to the end of the book, which means the final battle that the Savior will have to face. And so we don't really know what happens after the end of the book. Like, what happens? Isn't that what Henry asked even? He's like, well, what happens when the book ends? Like, do we die? I guess that's also a question for us, right? The viewers. What happens when it's the end of the book for Once Upon a Time? Because I don't think the show has been renewed yet. There were talks about kind of a reboot for the show. So could that be where the new season or season 7 would head if this were to just kind of end that whole book? 1 to 6, season 1 to 6, it's like book 1 or something, you know. And now let's talk about the Black Fairy and Gideon, because my God, first of all, we got some backstory on Gideon and the Black Fairy and how, you know, it was growing up with her, which we already figured it would be pretty horrible, which is why I always thought his thoughts on justice and what's right and what's wrong are kind of messed up. And if you remember, I kept saying, you know, I really feel like Gideon is going about the wrong way asking Emma for help or trying to be the savior himself. It makes no sense. And even in this episode, when the whole spider thing is going, and I still feel like that makes no sense. If you want her to help you, why don't you just ask her nicely? She's the savior. She would have helped you. Just trying to kill her to get her power and you becoming the savior makes no sense. But actually it does make sense, because holy crap, the Black Fairy is actually controlling Gideon. She took his heart, so it's not really him, which I'm like, okay, that makes total sense. And my concerns were legitimate, you know, because I kept feeling like, I get that he's messed up, but it still makes no sense to me. So yeah, now it makes sense. So thank you Once Upon a Time for clearing things up for me, because it was driving me crazy. On the other hand, that kind of sucks because now Gideon is being controlled by the Black Fairy. The good news is that Rumple and Belle were actually right. He has goodness in his heart, and more than they think, because the reason why she has to control him is because he was gonna stand up to her. So that changes so many things. Obviously, it also changes the way we see him, and now we're gonna be like, no, Emma, you have to save him. Please, he's being controlled. I wish there was like a machine that would know if your heart was ripped out and you were being controlled. It would go like, beep, beep, beep. You are being controlled. Beep, beep, beep. You're being controlled. Beep. We also learned in this episode that all the darkness in the world that they've been facing is actually because of the Black Fairy. So, yeah, I get why Isaac was saying, you know, the final battle is coming, because if all the darkness in the world and all the dark curses come from the Black Fairy, if Emma defeats her, then, you know, you can close the book on that. And speaking of defeating the Black Fairy, I feel like it's gonna be very, very soon, because the Black Fairy made it through. Even though Emma didn't actually die, she died long enough, or she was like almost dying long enough that the Black Fairy got through. And I love that Gideon, unfortunately, right before he realized that she did get through, I love that Gideon is telling her, I just want to tell you that she's still alive, and you can see that he's fighting. It's the beginning of the end, which is crazy. There's 6 more episodes this season. I feel like every episode now is starting to really pick up, and we're on our way to the end of the season. I'm not sure how long it will take Hook to come back. I mean, in Emma's vision, he was there, if I remember correctly. So unfortunately, it seems like the vision might still come to pass. And now we know that Gideon doesn't really want to kill Emma. So I don't know. I'm still really worried about what's going to happen. I would love to hear what you thought of this episode. Were you as blown away by that twist as I was? Because, you know, sometimes I see things coming, but mostly I don't. And then I definitely didn't see this one. So I was like, what? How long do you think it will take Hook to get back to Emma? Let me know in the comments. Really good episode though. Changes everything. Oh my god.